Today we are going to tend to my neurotic houseplant behaviors because I happen to see a spot up there that just happens to have a little bit too much dark green foliage, and I feel like it should have a little bit more brighter green foliage in my apartment. That's how crazy I get about interior design with plants. So let's propagate! I've actually been eyeing propagating this philodendron golden goddess for a while now. I bought this, gosh, probably about a year and a half ago, as two plants, two separate plants that were literally only probably about this big, and they've just grown so much. I bought them from Whole Foods, and it was like $15 per plant. So $15, $30 turns into this plant that's now 3.5, 4 feet tall. It's a philodendron, a climbing philodendron, so it just grows up. And you know what's crazy is that while two of these plants cost $15 a piece, a plant that literally looks similar to it, but just has some slight dark green variegation in it. And when I mean slight, I mean like really slight. This plant here at this small size of probably 7 inches tall goes for probably about $120, $150. This is a philodendron Thai sunrise, but it's a beautiful plant. But I mean, there's really no difference in my opinion. I'm as many rare plants as I have. I'm not like I don't really care for rare plants as much as I do about like the regular ones because I think they're all pretty. But we are going to propagate this because it is a super fast grower and I think will look really good in that area to fill up that dark green space. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for some nodes here. And of course, nodes are these areas where we see the leaves growing out, and you can see these little tiny nubs here alongside the philodendron and a lot of philodendron species. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an area to cut under, and boom, we have ourselves a propagation here. And again, I cut just underneath where you'll see some of those nodes there. And what I'm going to do is cut off one more and two more of these leaves, and that'll give us some more areas where some roots will grow out of. So I probably just want about one more of these cuttings, and that should be good. And now that we have our two cuttings, what we're going to do is we are going to put them inside some water. I'm going to use these little glass vases that I have in a mason jar that I got from Michael's, I believe. They're like $2 or $1, something like that. And call me old-fashioned, but I do not like using tap water on my plants, even with propagations. I always go with filtered water. Apparently, filtered water is not the best. It's like second best, but the first kind of water that plants love is just natural rainwater. But a fun fact here in Colorado, up until I think it was a couple of years ago, it was like legal to collect rainwater in the state of Colorado, which is kind of crazy. And when I mean a couple years ago, I mean like literally a couple years ago, like maybe 2016, 2014, somewhere around there. But yeah, now what we're going to do is we are then going to place our cutting inside of the little water propagation station. And we are just going to put this one over here while we do the other one. You know, some of you are asking me, what is it that's on my necklace that I'm constantly wearing in these videos? And this is actually my star chart from when I was born, which would be August 17th of 1984 at 4:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which makes me one of the strangest star charts. It's a Leo sun with a Capricorn rising and a Taurus moon. So I'm constantly at odds with myself, battling with myself. That fire and earth energy. All right, so we have our second one, and we are going to place it in there. Ta-da! Maybe the mason jar would work better. I think the mason jar will work better. Let's see. Pour this in here because we don't want to waste water. And isn't this so exciting? It's like the most exciting thing to do on a weekend. It is actually for me. I love it. There we go. That's way more space. Yeah. Okay. So we now have our two propagations to place in the area that I thought looked terrible with too much dark green foliage. Let's take a look. So the area that I'm talking about that's bothering me is right up there. And I know what you're thinking. He's crazy. And you know what? You're right. But I just want a little bit more brighter green or different color variation because I feel like I have some over here. And I also have a lot of free time on my hands and don't really have a life on the weekend. So here we go. First things first, we're going to remove this other propagation, which is just a little ZZ plant baby. Actually, it's not really a baby, it's kind of big. And what we might do is we might layer them up a little bit and just have like one of them up there, maybe one of them over here. I don't know. I'm being indecisive now. Neurotic and indecisive. Those are my two qualities. Actually, you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll just put both of them up there because I think that'll look nice. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go with this guy first, and we're going to put him on this side. What I love about this area up here on this crate that I attached to the wall is that it's in bright indirect light, meaning that the sun never really touches this spot, but it does get some bright indirect sunlight, which is perfect, exactly what you want for these propagations. You know, upon further review, I'm not a fan of having both of these up here. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take this one down and move it, or maybe, see, I'm being indecisive again. This is not good. This is how I end up spending like hours on the weekend doing plant stuff. Okay, I like this one, so I'm going to take this here, carefully place it down without spilling it or dropping it or falling off this ladder, and then put this baby over yonder. Prop that up a little bit better, like so. Ta-da. And then what I'm going to do is, because I have this Cebu Blue Pathos over here, which I put it over here this morning, and I'm not really like the biggest fan of that spot for it, but I've also been struggling to find other spots for it. I want you one tangle. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one here, which will add more bright green to that area, and also this little spot gets bright indirect light too, so there'll be perfect area for propagating as well. The question now becomes, does it look better turned around? Yeah, it does. If it's turned around this way, it looks much better because the leaves pop out hither. Put way too much thought into this stuff, and also very little thought at the same time. Story of my life. It's my vibe though, that's how I go about life. Okay. All right. You'll stand next to this Imperial Red Philodendron, which I've had for a while too. All right, and so now that we have officially moved these cuttings up into this area, we'll just let them sit in water and swap it out maybe once every 2 weeks or so. And it'll probably take about 4 weeks for them to grow out some nice roots inside that water, and nice roots that are long enough to plant up, which would probably be about 2 to 3 inches long, 2.5, 3 inches long. And then we'll turn those into brand new plants. We'll put them into pots, pot them up in soil, and then put them probably right back in the same place, just so that bright green remains there. Of course, until like a week goes by and I don't feel like bright green is the color for this corner anymore. But alas, for now, order has been restored to the plant kingdom in this corner of my living room with bright green new propagations. So thanks so much for watching. And you know what? In a couple of weeks when these are ready, we'll do another clip on this to see how they look and update you guys on all that stuff. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It would mean a lot to me and to these propagations. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.